if this video just found you, it's not by accident. God is calling you right now. Have you ever felt like you're being watched, not by people, but by purpose? There was once a little boy who used to sit under a tree and talk to the sky. His friends thought he was strange, his teachers thought he was distracted, but that little boy knew something they didn't. He wasn't just talking to the sky, he was talking to God. Years later, when life hit hard and everyone left, that same boy, now a man, found strength not in people, not in power, not in money, but in that same connection he had under the tree. He was a chosen one, misunderstood and underestimated, but deeply known by God. Chosen ones, the world may never fully see you for who you are, but God does. And if this video found its way to you, it's because heaven is tapping on your shoulder. Ever wonder why people envy your silence? Why does your presence shift the atmosphere? Why you've been through so much pain but still walk with power? As Jeremiah 1:5 says, "Before I formed you in the womb, I knew you. Before you were born, I set you apart." Chosen one, stay with me. This video holds the mirror to your soul. By the time we get to point 7, you'll understand exactly why you couldn't fit in, why you were rejected, and why God has kept you hidden for a divine reason. So don't click off. This is your spiritual checkpoint, your moment of awakening. Let's dive deep. Let's laugh. Let's reflect. Let's break spiritual bread together. You're not just watching this video, you were meant to. Let's go. Point 1. You were set apart before you were seen. Let's take a deep breath, Earth Angel, and bring something into full focus. Your life didn't begin in a hospital room under fluorescent lights. It didn't start when your mother whispered your name or when you took your first trembling steps. No, the truth is far more sacred than that. Your origin was not earthly, it was divine. You were spoken into existence by the mouth of God himself. Before the foundations of the earth were laid, before light pierced the darkness in Genesis, you were already known, already seen, already loved, already sent. That's right, you weren't just born, you were deployed. And because you were deployed, not everyone around you could grasp the mission. You've likely felt it for as long as you can remember, that strange, quiet disconnect. Like you were somehow in the world, but not of it. Like your soul carried a language no one around you spoke fluently. Crowds felt suffocating, parties felt pointless, the chase for approval exhausting. That's because your spiritual DNA carries instructions most people can't decode. You weren't built for surface-level connections or applause from the masses. You were built for something deeper, truth, purpose, and divine alignment. And oh, how the world tried to convince you otherwise, how it tried to label you too quiet, too intense, too sensitive. But let's set the record straight. Sensitivity isn't a weakness, it's spiritual radar. You're tuned into frequencies others can't hear. You can walk into a room and feel tension before a word is spoken. You can spot deception masked as charm. That's not paranoia. That's discernment, a spiritual superpower gifted to the chosen ones. And let's talk about that isolation you've wrestled with. At times it felt cruel, like the universe was playing favorites and you weren't it. But in truth, isolation has always been God's greatest training ground. Look at the pattern. Moses in the desert, David in the fields, Jesus in the wilderness. Solitude isn't a sign of rejection. It's God's way of turning down the volume of the world so you can hear the whisper of heaven. While others parted, you were being purified. While others chased clout, you were being called. Still, it's hard when people you love drift away, when you're overlooked for promotions, misunderstood by family, or even mocked for being too deep. But you must remember this, rejection is never random. It's redirection in disguise. God removes what no longer serves your growth. He prunes the vine not to hurt it, but to make it fruitful. So when people exit your life, bless them, wish them well, then rise. Because your path isn't crowded, it's carved. You weren't created to follow trends. You were designed to blaze trails. Your difference is your divine fingerprint. It's what sets you apart from the billions on this planet. You've endured storms, heartbreaks, betrayals, and setbacks, not because you're cursed, but because you're chosen. Diamonds don't form in soft places. Oil doesn't pour without pressing. Anointing doesn't come without affliction. And here's the divine irony. The very people who doubted you will one day marvel at your resilience. The ones who dismissed you will need your wisdom. They'll realize too late that the weird one, the quiet one, the black sheep was actually the blueprint. But don't gloat, don't clap back. That's not your style. You were never built for revenge. You were built for revelation. Let them sit with their regrets. Let them wrestle with the reality that the one they once overlooked has become the light they can't ignore. Because while they were busy underestimating you, God was busy elevating you. He was sharpening your vision, deepening your spirit, and building a foundation so firm that no amount of hate can shake it. So hold your head high, not with arrogance, but with awareness. Awareness of who you are, where you came from, and who sent you. You are heaven's response to a broken world, a divine disruption to the status quo. A reminder that greatness often walks in quiet shoes. You don't need to shout your worth. Your presence is proof. You are the evidence of God's intentionality. You carry light in a dark world, clarity in a chaotic one, and love in a hardened one. And while the world may not understand you, heaven does. Heaven celebrates you. Heaven watches you rise, not in the world's definition of success, but in divine purpose. Chosen one, never shrink to fit into small spaces. Never silence your truth to make others comfortable. You were born to stand out, to rise, to remind this earth that God still sends his best. And you, yes you, are walking confirmation that heaven never makes mistakes. Point 2, your struggles were strategic. Okay, chosen one, let's take a moment and really peel back the layers. No fluff, no filters, just the raw, soul-deep truth. You've been through storms that would have sunk others. You've tasted betrayal from those you loved, lost things you thought you couldn't live without, endured seasons so lonely you started to forget the sound of your own joy. Maybe you've battled depression in silence, pretending everything was fine because no one around you could handle the weight of your reality. But here's something the average person won't tell you. Your suffering wasn't some cosmic accident. It was divine design, tailor-made, customized for your calling. Let that sink in. God doesn't waste pain, not a single ounce of it. In the grand architecture of your purpose, every painful moment has a place. You weren't being punished, you were being prepared. While others were out there playing, laughing, breezing through the sunshine of life, you were in the trenches. And not because God forgot you, but because he favored you. He saw something in you worth refining. Diamonds are formed under pressure. Gold is purified in fire. And warriors are forged in battles the ordinary never see. Every sleepless night, every rejection, every no that shattered your hope, it all had a purpose. That purpose wasn't just to break you, it was to build you. You were being trained in isolation so you could lead in elevation. Your private pain was the classroom for your public power. And every tear you cried, it wasn't wasted. It was watering seeds of resilience, compassion, discernment, and yes, divine strength. Here's a fact that may blow your mind. Studies in post-traumatic growth show that people who endure significant hardship often develop greater emotional strength, empathy, and spiritual depth than those who haven't. That's you, chosen one. You didn't just survive, you evolved. You didn't crumble, you climbed. And that right there, that's a spiritual flex that no degree, status symbol, or Instagram highlight reel can compete with. God allowed this path because he trusted your endurance. That's not a burden, it's an honor. He knew you could take it. He knew you'd come out wiser, sharper, and closer to him. When you wanted to give up, something in you whispered, not yet. That whisper wasn't weakness, that was the voice of divine strength echoing in your soul. So the next time you look in the mirror, don't see someone who's been through too much. See someone who's carried more than most and still stands. See someone God didn't overlook, but chose for a higher purpose. You're not fragile. You're forged. You're not overlooked. You're anointed. You're not broken. You're becoming. Remember this, chosen one. The pain was personal, but so is the purpose. Point 3. You make the devil nervous. You ever notice how everything's going smooth? Your Wi-Fi works, your coffee's hot, your phone actually charges overnight, and then bam, the moment you decide, you know what, I'm going to pray a little deeper today. Suddenly your dog's barking at shadows, your boss is micromanaging your existence, and your cousin who hasn't texted in 3 years suddenly needs $200 and a quick prayer. Coincidence? Nah. That's not just bad luck or Mercury moonwalking in retrograde. That's spiritual warfare, baby. See, chosen one, you're not like everybody else. You weren't designed to blend in. You were born to stand out spiritually and strategically. The moment you decide to elevate, whether it's by fasting, praying with boldness, or even speaking the truth that ruffles feathers, you send a spiritual shockwave through the unseen realm. You make darkness uncomfortable. Demons don't clock out when you walk in, they panic. You carry a sacred frequency that disrupts anything that's unholy, fake, or hiding behind a mask. Now let's be real, it can feel chaotic. You light a candle to pray and your neighbor suddenly starts blasting death metal. You try to fast and your coworker brings donuts. You open your Bible and your phone gets more notifications than it's had all week. But don't get discouraged. That's not chaos. That's confirmation. That's the enemy saying, uh-oh, they're waking up. Spiritual warfare, by definition, is the battle between good and evil, fought not just with weapons or fists, but through influence, intention, and identity. Ephesians 6:12 reminds us, "For we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against the rulers of darkness." That means this thing's deeper than drama or bad vibes. This is spiritual resistance to your spiritual growth. Here's the real tea. The devil doesn't bother with people going nowhere. He's not concerned with mediocrity or those who settle for surface-level living. But when you start to pray with purpose, speak life with authority, and act in alignment with your calling, that's when he gets nervous. That's when the resistance shows up. But guess what? That resistance is also proof that you're doing something right. You were never meant to fight fire with fear. You fight it with faith. And better yet, you don't even have to fight alone. God didn't call you just to survive the battle. He equipped you to win it. Your prayers may look simple, but they shake kingdoms. Your fasting may seem quiet, but it breaks chains. Your presence in a room is not just ambience, it's a threat to every dark thing trying to linger in the corners. So the next time everything starts breaking loose, the moment you choose righteousness, smile. Take it as a holy compliment. Heaven knows your name, and so does hell. And that's exactly how it should be. You carry a mantle, a divine assignment. And with that comes opposition, yes, but also supernatural backup. Think of it like this. You're the spiritual Wi-Fi in a room full of disconnected souls. When you show up, the atmosphere shifts, not because you shouted, but because your spirit speaks. The devil doesn't just hate your words, he fears your presence, because you're proof that light can't be dimmed, even in a world that tries its hardest to blow out every candle. So laugh a little when things get hectic. Pray harder when distractions rise. Fast bolder when your flesh protests. Because every storm confirms your significance. Every inconvenience verifies your impact. And when the enemy starts whispering, "You're under attack," go ahead and shout back, "Nope, I'm under assignment." Point 4, you carry a divine frequency. People don't know what it is about you, they just know it's something. They can't put their finger on it, but they feel it. Your presence shifts the atmosphere. Your silence speaks volumes, and your energy? It reaches people before you even say a word. You've probably had strangers walk up to you and pour out their deepest secrets in the most random places, a grocery store aisle, a gas station, a waiting room. And while others brush it off as coincidence, you know there's something deeper at play. This isn't anxiety, this is discernment. You are tuned into something sacred, something higher. It's not that you're too sensitive or overreacting, you're just spiritually alert. What most people miss in a room, you absorb immediately. The tension, the silent cries, the energy shifts. You feel them all. This isn't weakness, it's a divine radar. You're a chosen one, a walking, breathing antenna that picks up what the world tries to hide. Psychologically, this aligns with the trait of high emotional intelligence, especially the aspect of empathy. But spiritual discernment goes even further. It's beyond reading body language or facial expressions. It's about perceiving intent, feeling spiritual vibrations, and decoding energies that have no physical form. Your instincts are not just survival tools, they are divine instruments. Let's talk about those dreams you've been having. The ones that come true, the ones that seem random but unfold later with precision. Science may call them subconscious processing, but spiritually, that's a prophetic gift. Your spirit knows things before your mind catches up. You don't just dream, you receive. That's not coincidence, that's calling. And the exhaustion you feel after being around too many people, that's not introversion alone. That's your energy being pulled in every direction. Crowds are overwhelming, not because you can't socialize, but because your spirit picks up everything. Joy, pain, envy, deception, all at once. Your aura is a sponge. And unless you guard it, it'll leave you drained, anxious, and disconnected from your higher self. You have to understand, your gift is sacred. It's not something you flaunt or explain to those who won't understand. Don't dilute your depth just to make others comfortable. You weren't built for the shallow. The world tries to label you as too much because they can't handle the truth that radiates from you. But that truth is needed. That light is rare, and the world, whether it admits it or not, is drawn to it. Not everyone deserves access to your energy. Read that again. Just because someone is curious doesn't mean they're worthy. Some people want to be close to your light, not to appreciate it, but to dim it. Protect your spirit. Set boundaries without guilt. The more sacred the calling, the more selective you must be with your connections. And here's something deep. You're not here to fit in. You're here to stand out, to reflect divine truth in a world full of illusions. Your discomfort in conforming is not rebellion. It's alignment with your true nature. While others chase validation, you chase purpose. While they seek applause, you seek alignment. That's why people can't figure you out. You weren't meant to be figured out. You're meant to be felt. In a noisy world, your calm is disruptive. In a fake world, your authenticity is rebellious. In a broken world, your healing presence is powerful. So protect your gift, nurture it, feed your soul, recharge in solitude, pray, meditate, align. Your discernment is a divine compass. It won't steer you wrong. You are not weird. You are wired differently for something greater. You are not meant to blend in, but to rise above. So when people sense something about you, smile. That something is the divine spark in you. And when you protect it, it becomes not just your light, but a beacon for others. Point 5, you speak with power. Even in silence. Let's be honest, some of the most powerful moments in life happen in complete silence. You don't have to raise your voice, prove your point, or lay out your credentials for the world to validate your worth. Why? Because when you carry spiritual weight, your very presence speaks. Your silence becomes louder than words, your glance becomes more disarming than any argument, and your stillness becomes a weapon more effective than chaos. That's not arrogance, it's alignment. That's not pride, it's purpose wrapped in peace. This isn't just poetic, it's psychological and spiritual truth. In psychology, there's a concept known as presence-based leadership, where a person's quiet, confident presence naturally draws respect and attention without them having to dominate a conversation. Leaders who are calm and composed influence rooms more effectively than those who are reactive and loud. That's you. You walk into rooms and the air changes, not because you've announced yourself, but because your energy precedes you. That's not a coincidence, that's spiritual resonance. People often confuse noise with power. But look at nature. The sun doesn't make a sound, yet it sustains life. Gravity never announces itself, yet it governs the movement of planets. Likewise, the most spiritually loaded individuals don't always stand on pedestals shouting their truth. They live it, they breathe it. And when they enter a space, everything else adjusts accordingly. It's not about demanding attention, it's about commanding respect without asking for it. Even in ancient times, the greatest prophets, sages, and spiritual figures were not the loudest voices in the crowd. They were often the calmest ones. Think of Jesus, who calmed storms with words spoken in peace, not panic. Think of the Buddha, whose stillness communicated more than volumes of philosophy. Their presence alone drew thousands. They didn't have to convince people, they simply were. And in that being, people saw divinity. You carry that same quiet flame, that same divine blueprint that allows you to shake rooms just by being fully in tune with who you are. And while the world tries to shout over itself, competing for likes, attention, and validation, there you are, still, grounded, anchored in a higher frequency. That's kingdom energy. It's not manufactured. It's downloaded from source. Stillness is not weakness, it's strategy. When everyone else is scrambling, the person who remains calm is the one who hears clearly, sees clearly, and chooses wisely. It's why you're often the one people secretly turn to in times of crisis. Not because you're loud, but because you're light. And light doesn't beg to be seen, it just shines. So don't let the world pressure you into becoming what it wants, louder, flashier, noisier. The world glorifies spectacle, but heaven glorifies substance. The spiritual realm doesn't measure your volume, it measures your vibration, and your vibration is high. That's why people feel both comforted and convicted in your presence. It's why some people are drawn to you while others are intimidated by you, and they don't even know why, but you do. You're spiritually loaded. In a society obsessed with doing, being is revolutionary. In a world addicted to noise, silence is sacred. And in a culture that demands explanation, your ability to simply be is power. Not everyone will understand it, not everyone is supposed to, but those who are spiritually attuned will recognize it. And those who aren't, well, your silence will still speak to them. It'll correct, humble, and often transform them. So keep walking in that energy. Let your calm remain your confidence. Let your stillness be your statement. You don't have to prove your power. You are your power. You are the presence. You are the light. And trust me, light never has to introduce itself. It just shows up, and darkness disappears. Point 6, you were hidden for a reason. Oh, this one is deep. Let's sit with it for a moment. You've watched people rise. Some of them soared with grace, others stumbled upward with noise. You've cheered them on, maybe from the front row, maybe from the shadows. You've clapped for them, sowed into their journey, and celebrated their wins. All the while wondering quietly, God, when is it my turn? That whisper, small but persistent, echoes in the hearts of many who've waited, served, sacrificed, and still stayed unseen. But here's the truth. Delayed does not mean denied. And when God is involved, a delay isn't a rejection, it's a refinement. See, in a world obsessed with instant results and overnight fame, we've forgotten that true greatness takes time. Not because you're not worthy now, but because divine timing requires divine preparation. You're not being punished, you're being processed. Let's get into it with some spiritual and psychological depth. In the Bible, David was anointed king as a teenager, but he didn't sit on the throne until years later. Why? Because there were giants to slay, caves to hide in, betrayals to endure, and lions to fight. Not because God changed his mind, but because David's destiny required a seasoning that only life could bring. Your story might not have a crown and a throne, but it has a calling, and that calling is heavy. If God gave it to you too soon, the weight would crush you. So instead, he strengthens your shoulders while no one's watching. You see, God hides his chosen, not to punish them, but to protect them. Protection is a blessing, even when it feels like rejection. Think of it like this. Would you put a diamond still in the rough in a display case at Tiffany's? No. You'd cut it, polish it, refine it, until it sparkled so bright the world couldn't look away. That's what God is doing with you. While others pose, and perform, you've been in your process. While they chase clout, you've been chasing character. That's the real flex. Now here's the divine twist. When it's finally your time, nothing and no one can block it. Not the naysayers, not the gatekeepers, not the enemy. And when it's not your time, no hustle, no algorithm, no networking event can force it. That's because doors God opens don't need permission, and doors he keeps shut. Trust that there's something behind them you weren't meant to touch, not yet. So yes, your breakthrough will look different. It'll be divine. It won't be the result of gimmicks or grinding. It'll be the outcome of grace. And when you finally step into the light, people will say, where did they come from? But you'll know. You didn't come out of nowhere. You came out of obedience, patience, faith, fire, and pruning. This is your reminder. Slow rise is a strong rise. There's a reason some people explode and then vanish. They were lit too fast with no foundation, but not you. You've been building in the dark, quietly, steadily, spiritually. And when the curtain finally lifts, your presence will not be performance, it will be purpose. So hold tight, chosen one. Keep walking even when it feels like no one's watching, because God is. And when it's finally your moment, the world won't just see you. They'll feel the power of the process that made you. Your time is coming, and it will be worth the wait. Point 7, your calling is bigger than your comfort. Chosen one, let's make something crystal clear. Your life was never meant to blend into the background. You weren't just born, you were sent. This isn't some feel-good, float-through-life spiritual picnic. This is sacred ground. You were chosen, anointed, handpicked by the divine to disrupt, to awaken, to elevate. Life was never meant to be soft and simple for you. It was meant to be significant. Why? Because your soul carries an assignment. Your presence is a message. You don't just occupy space, you transform it. From the moment you arrived, you felt it, that sense of otherness. The internal knowing that you're not like everyone else. Not better, just different. Not made to follow the map, but to create new ones. And that's no accident. In fact, it's deeply biblical. Ephesians 2:10 reminds us, you are God's masterpiece, created in Christ Jesus to do good works, which God prepared in advance for you to do. Let that sink in. Prepared in advance. Before your first breath, God already coded your purpose into your spirit. You're not a coincidence, you're a strategy. That awkwardness you felt in crowds, that sense of not fitting in, it's confirmation, not confusion. You weren't made for the crowd, you were made for the calling. And that calling is not for the faint of heart. You've been assigned to speak truth in a world addicted to illusions, to stand when others fold, to believe when others mock, and to love radically, even when the world gives you every reason not to. Of course, that comes with pressure. But guess what? Diamonds don't form in soft sand, they form under pressure. You weren't made to be fragile, you were made to shine. And the moments that tried to break you, they were just refining your brilliance. Now let's bring in some psychology here, because being chosen often comes with the strange weight of imposter syndrome. It's that nagging feeling that you're not enough, that someone else would be better suited. But here's the twist. People with imposter syndrome tend to over-prepare, over-deliver, and operate with humility, making them some of the most authentic and powerful leaders on earth. You feel unqualified because you actually care, and that's a rare strength. So stop waiting for the perfect version of yourself to show up. Stop thinking, once I'm fearless, I'll step out. No, once you step out, the courage will show up. You don't need perfection to start walking in purpose. You need obedience. Willingness, a mustard seed of faith. Remember, the enemy isn't just fighting you because of your past, it's because of your potential. You are heaven's secret weapon in plain sight. You are someone's answered prayer, someone's light in the dark, someone's proof that purpose is real. So when the road gets lonely and the weight feels too much, remember this: you're not behind. You're right on schedule, you're not broken, you're being built. And your walk, it's not just about you, it's about everyone who's watching you rise. Chosen one, walk boldly, speak fiercely, love deeply, because heaven's counting on you and you were born ready. You want to know if you're chosen? Look in the mirror. You survived what others didn't. You kept faith when others folded. You carry peace that can't be bought. You are the evidence that God is real. So walk boldly, chosen one, because when heaven wrote your name, hell took notes. And guess what? You're still here. Let them wonder, let them talk, let them question. You just keep walking with God, because this world doesn't need more influencers. It needs more anointed ones. And if this video found you, it's because you are the anointed. Stay awake, stay pure, stay powerful. Until next time, chosen one, keep walking in your divine identity. Amen.